Good afternoon, TikTok. It is Monday, March 13th, and we have an update on the abortion pill ban situation. So we're going to look at this article from Daily KOS. In very irregular order, Trump judge tries to keep medication abortion ban hearing secret. This is by Joan McCarter of this website staff here. And this is Judge Matthew J. Kasmaryk, who is set to rule. The article reads, a coalition of media organizations, including the Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press, the Washington Post, NBC Universal News Group, ProPublica Incorporated, Texas Press Association, the Freedom of Information Foundation of Texas, the Markup and Gannett Company, Incorporated, the publisher of the Amarillo Globe News, and several other Texas-based newspapers, collectively the News Media Coalition, object to Judge Kasmaryk's secrecy in this case, and follow this request that Wednesday's hearing and future actions in the case be publicly docketed promptly. So they were trying to keep it off of the public record or the docket of when they were going to have this hearing. An ultra-conservative district judge in Texas seems to be trying to take a page from the Trump majority on the U.S. Supreme Court and do his dirty work in the shadows. That's how the highest court has delivered some of the most momentous and destructive rulings in the last few years, from the shadow docket of emergency requests with no public hearings and no transparency. The lower courts don't have the equivalent of a shadow docket because they're not the highest court. They're not getting the requests for emergency orders, but that hasn't stopped U.S. District Court Judge Matthew Kasmaryk from trying to craft a version of it. He's the Trump appointee who could ban medication abortion across the nation from his seat in Amarillo, Texas, and it's that case that he's trying to keep out of the public eye. The Washington Post reported over the weekend that he had taken the highly unusual step of scheduling the first hearing in the case for Wednesday without putting that hearing on the public court docket. In a conference call with the attorneys on Friday, Kasmaryk scheduled the hearing but told them he wasn't going to put it on the docket until late night before to try to keep it out of the public and abortion advocates' way. This was supposedly a move to minimize the threat to him and court personnel from protests. Kasmaryk did issue a gag order to the lawyers, the New York Times says in follow-up reporting, but asked that they keep information secret as a courtesy. Amarillo is relatively isolated in rural Texas with just a few direct flights in and hours away from the state's metropolitan areas. Providing essentially no notice to the public of what is supposed to be a public hearing is very irregular, as one person familiar with the case told the Times. Especially for a case of intense public interest, the judge and his staff refused to provide comment to either the Post or the Times. The hearing in question is on the injunction the Alliance for Hippocratic Medicine has asked for to block the use of one abortion drug, mifepristone. The organization, which was incorporated in August in Amarillo, is suing to overturn the FDA's approval of medication abortion entirely, but right now will settle for ending the use of mifepristone. It is normally used in the U.S. in conjunction with a second drug, misoprostol, for safe and effective abortions. Misoprostol is approved for other medical uses and can be used alone to induce abortion. It is slightly less effective on its own and is likely to cause more side effects than when used with mifepristone. The forced birth groups, amalgamated as the Alliance for Hippocratic Medicine, is trying to overturn FDA authorization of both in its challenge, but for the moment would settle for this injunction to force the FDA to reverse its approval of mifepristone and get it off the market in 20 states where abortion is banned. That would effectively shut down the use of the drug across the country. Notably, legal experts say that this would be the first time that a court had acted in order that a drug be removed from the market over the objection of the FDA. That is a very slippery slope for federal courts and public health, the politically appointed deciding what drugs and FDA gets to approve for public use. So I think one major thing to take away from this, and it was very briefly touched on here, but I just want to go back to this paragraph where it says, Misoprostol is approved for other medical uses and can be used alone to induce abortion. It's slightly less effective on its own and is more likely to cause more side effects than with use with mifepristone, which is what they're trying to ban. So you could, even if you could still get misoprostol, even if it's slightly less effective on its own, and you're more likely to have some sort of complication if you just use it without mifepristone. And I think that's really telling when they're willing to ban the more effective drug and leave the other one on the market, and they want people to suffer if they choose to go this route. They want there to be more risks, and I think that's an important thing to point out about this article. So thank you for coming to check it out, and keep yourself safe, guys. See you in the next one. Bye.